All right, I'm going to disagree with Nick's strength and power. I don't usually do it. I think that he does great work, but you already got me blocked, so I don't know what would be worse than blocking me. I guess you'd have to find me another social media platform and block me there, but it's not a bad point that he makes. It's just one that I don't agree with. The point is he's saying Nick Walker has got to win the Arnold Classic to qualify for next year's Mr. Olympia. Secondarily, he says he would have to win the New York Pro to get to next year's Mr. Olympia. And the reason for that, he says, is Nick Walker is too big now to do a smaller show. He needs to do the Arnold to get to the Olympia or the New York Pro to get to the Olympia, nothing smaller. Size matters. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Strength Addicts on all social media platforms, powered by Iron Mag Labs. Make your mark with IML. Visit ironmaglabs.com today. Guys, here's the deal. I don't think Nick Walker can win the Arnold Classic. And I certainly don't think he can win the Mr. Olympia. And I think he's damaged goods. And damaged goods doesn't mean he can't be undamaged, doesn't mean he can't get back on track, doesn't mean he can't win the Olympia one day. But that day won't be in 2025. I mean, first, let's get him to get on the Olympia stage. I mean, he's dropped out of the Olympia twice, 2 consecutive years. I mean, let's not talk about him winning the show. Let's maybe talk about him actually doing the show. And then maybe we can talk about him winning it. And he was at this year's Arnold Classic, but he wasn't competing. He looked like he could compete, a lot of people said, maybe because he was wearing a shirt that was too tight. But he gave out trophies. And we can't forget, I won't let you forget that Martin Fitzwater, the Martian, got robbed at the New York Pro in 2024. I won't play that down. I won't let you forget. So don't tell me, that the bromance with Martin or my obsession with Martin is weird or creepy, whatever you want to say. Whatever is not going to get me to stop. Because he got robbed in New York so that Nick Walker could get a qualification he didn't even use. He didn't even use it. You know how lame that is? He didn't even use it. Now, thankfully, Martin had qualified for the Olympia with the Detroit Pro before the New York Classic, or New York whatever it's called. I don't really care what it's called. You know why I don't care? Because of the robbery. I mean, and that's the third biggest bodybuilding show. That is the third. That's the former Night of Champions. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Do you know that bodybuilding in the tri-state area, in this context, meaning New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, is like, it's like what Venice Beach was like in the 70s and 80s times 5. Venice Beach, at its height, was the gym and 3 stores and the wherever they make the Bob Bowl, the firehouse place. That's it. These 3 states, when it comes to bodybuilding, we're like, the promised land. So to win the New York Pro is a very big deal. In addition to it being the third biggest bodybuilding show, it represents a region that, when it comes to bodybuilding, has been hardcore for decades. And people didn't stay quiet about it. It was, they didn't stay quiet about it. And Martin going to the Olympia and getting 4th and arguably knocking out Derek really made the case that if Nick had shown his face at the Olympia, Martin would have just spanked him worse than he did in New York. So don't tell me that I'm just fanboying for Martin when I say Martin got robbed, because the guy went on to be 4th in the world, and the guy that won the show didn't even get on stage. But I digress. The point, though, is that no, Nick Miller, I don't think he's going to win the Arnold Classic. I don't think he can win the Arnold Classic in 2025. I don't think he can win the New York Pro in 2025. I think he needs to do a smaller show. Now, I wouldn't say like a show like the Prague show. I mean, because that would be, well, I guess it wouldn't be insulting if Martin did it, but Martin did it to qualify. Martin did it just to, show off, make some money, whatever. But now if a guy like Martin, now that he's 4th, were to go to a show like Prague 2-3 years down the road to get a qualification, I would say, yeah, that's kind of weak. Or the Reno show, Nothing against the Reno show, nothing against Prague or the Romania show or any of them, but they're not. I mean, when you're talking Arnold Classic, New York Pro, those shows, the Prague, the Romania, whatever, they're like not even on the screen because those two shows are just so huge. You know, like Craig Elias would say, that would be 9K. Peak check, as he says. Follow Craig Elias, please. He's awesome. I don't think I've met him. Actually, I know I haven't met him. You know if you've met Craig Elias. The guy is bigger than God with a lowercase g. All right, but anyways, let's get back to reality. So what I'm saying is, it would have to be a show, in my opinion, that wouldn't be that small, but certainly would not. I mean, Nick, what are you talking about, my man? How is Nick Walker going to win the Arnold? Are you crazy? Are you? I mean, I don't want to use a Ronnie Coleman, thing, but I mean, when he said, "Are you?" Well, Ronnie Coleman said to Jay Cutler, "Jay must be smoking crack." I don't want to say that, but I'll be joking, of course. Although Cincinnati, there's a lot goes on in Cincinnati. But in any event, no, there's no way he can win the Arnold. There's no way he can win the New York Pro. My recommendation would be Tampa or Chicago, but Tampa's getting so freaking big, that I don't even know he should do Tampa. And Chicago, maybe Chicago. Chicago's a big show, but Tampa's like really starting to on the New York Pro door, because honestly, they're getting huge. And Titan Medical, they're the title sponsor. They used to be title sponsor and supporting sponsor for Strength Addicts for years. Titan Medical, I mean, come on. Titan Medical Center, they're all about the bodybuilding. They're all about giving back to the community. They're giving out like 40 turkeys for Thanksgiving. I'm just saying, Tampa's getting big, so maybe Tampa's not going to be the best place for Nick to look. Here's the thing, right? We're talking about him doing a show where he's going to qualify. I mean, we're talking about doing a show where he's going to be a strong top 5 or maybe a top contender in the top 3. Then shit, go do the Arnold Classic or go do the New York Pro. But since they got rid of the point system, that second or third, that strong top 3 placing is not going to get him to the Olympia. So if what we're talking about is him qualifying, then I'm just saying I don't think he can qualify, meaning win first place at the Arnold or the New York Pro. And I don't think he can do it in Tampa either, because Tampa's getting really big. But I'm also not saying that he should go to a Prague or a Legion or something like that, or Romania. Great shows, but I mean, very, very far away from the level of a New York Pro or an Arnold Classic. So I think that what Nick needs to do with whoever, consists of his camp, if it's his significant other, his mom, if he's got a coach, a business partner, an accountant, a priest, whatever, a rabbi, an imam, I didn't say your mom, I said an imam, to whatever, consult with, because the thing is, he's got to find a show that he can win that is not so small that he's going to get laughed at. I don't know how to do that. I think that requires a great deal of study, because I will tell you, to Nick Miller's point, because you got to read between the lines with him, because he's the most popular YouTuber. Why do I mention him so much? He's the most popular YouTuber. You cannot ignore, it would be akin to me writing online in the 2000s or early 2010s and ignoring what was being said at Muscular Development and Muscle Mag and Flex. You can't do it, because they're, setting the tone more or less for where the sport is going. Nick Miller is setting the tone for where the sport is going more or less. He's the most popular YouTuber. I can't ignore what he says. I can't, and you can't either. And that's why his point is so valid. That's why I'm dissecting it, and I'm reading in between the lines. And reading in between the lines, he's making the point that if Nick Walker, previous Arnold Classic champion, previous top Olympian, goes and qualifies at a show with guys that have never done the Olympia, like for example, if he had gone to the Detroit Pro the year that Martin won it last year, none of those guys had been on an Olympia stage. That would look not so good for someone like Nick. So I understand he's got to find a middle show, but what will that middle show be? Tampa's not it. Tampa is on the New York Pro's door. So Tampa wouldn't be it, but maybe Chicago. I was going to say the Battle for Texas. That's not big enough. That's what I'm saying. It's weird. He's got to show that he can still be competitive with like really good guys, and not go to a show with guys that are very green or just got their pro card and basically take their little time to shine. So I don't know. It's going to take some study. It's going to, because really I just don't know. I really don't know. What about that show in Dubai? He can't do that show. $100,000 prize money. You know how many guys that's going to draw out? He's in a tough spot. He's in a really tough spot. And if he doesn't win, is he going to do another show? Because see, that was the big thing with the New York Pro. That's why I really believe that show was rigged, is because Nick wasn't going to try again. It was kind of like the Bumstead thing. That's why I was so scared they were to give it to Bumstead, because Bumstead said, I'm one and done and open. I'm one and done and open. There won't be a two. And Nick Walker made it seem like he was going to try for New York, and if it didn't happen, that was it. And just the prospect in my mind of Nick Walker back at the Olympia was just too promising to pass up. And so they said, look, here's a win for you. That's what I think. And they didn't care he didn't get on stage, because by the time he announced he wasn't getting on stage, all the tickets were sold. You know what I'm saying? But hey, what do I know? I just don't think Nick Walker should be doing a big show in 2025 to qualify for that year's Olympia. Not to mention, I don't think he would even do that year's Olympia. I don't think he's going to be on the Olympia stage in 2025. I really don't. But hey, call me a critic, call me a skeptic. Just don't call me before 9 a.m. because I'll be sleeping. That's a lie. I'm up at 5 a.m. But I wanted to use that line because I saw it on a show or something. Anyways, guys, please take care of each other. And a great way to take care of each other is to visit ironmanlabs.com. You can get great whey protein powder, pre-workout powder, and stuff for that third leg that is so important in life. Guys, please head on over to ironmanlabs.com today, or I will be executed.